Good day, class. So this module's topic is going to be about photosynthesis. Now, most plants are easy to grow if we're going to compare it with animals or the likes because their needs are very simple. Give a plant water, essential elements in soil, carbon dioxide, and light, and it will produce food and oxygen. These products build the plant's body and sustains its life. Meanwhile, animals and other consumers eat plants. A leafy foundation therefore supports Earth's ecosystem. Now the question is, how can plants do so much with such simple raw materials? The answer lies in chloroplasts. So these are microscopic solar panels inside each green cell. Now, this lesson will explain how chloroplasts use the sun's energy to conjure sugar out of thin air. And at the end of this lesson, hopefully you guys will be able to describe the major features and chemical events in photosynthesis and respiration, and explain the importance of chlorophyll and other pigments. Now, imagine it is spring. A seed germinates underground, its tender roots and pale yellow stem extending rapidly in a race against time. For now, the seedling's sole energy source is food stored in the seed itself. If its shoot does not reach light before its reserves run out, the seedling will die. But if it makes it, the shoot turns green and unfurls leaves that spread and catch the light. The seedling begins to feed itself and an independent new life begins. Now, the plant is an autotroph or a self-feeder, meaning it uses inorganic substances such as water and carbon dioxide to be able to produce organic compounds. The opposite of an autotroph is a heterotroph, which is an organism that obtains carbon by consuming pre-existing organic molecules. Us humans, we are heterotrophs, and so are the other animals, all fungi, and many other microbes. So organisms that can produce their own food underlie every ecosystem on Earth. It is not surprising, therefore, that if asked to designate the most important metabolic pathway, most biologists would not hesitate to cite photosynthesis, which is the process by which plants, algae, and some microbes harness solar energy and convert it into chemical energy. Now, photosynthesis is a series of chemical reactions that use light energy to assemble carbon dioxide into glucose and other carbohydrates. Now, the plant uses water in the process and releases oxygen gas as a byproduct. Now, these reactions of photosynthesis are summarized as follow. So, you need 6 units of carbon dioxide, 6 units of water, together with light to produce glucose and oxygen as the byproduct. So this process provides not only food for the plant, but also the energy, the raw materials, and oxygen that support most heterotrophs. Animals, fungi, and other consumers eat leaves, the stem, the roots, flowers, nectar, fruits, and seeds of the world's producers. And even the waste product of photosynthesis, which is oxygen, is essential to much life on Earth. Because humans live on land, we are most familiar with the contribution that plants make to Earth's terrestrial ecosystems. In fact, however, more than half of the world's photosynthesis occurs in the vast oceans, courtesy of countless algae and bacteria, like this in the picture. So that includes cyanobacteria, the diatoms, the dinoflagellates, the green algae, and also the coccolithophore. So on land or in the water, Earth without photosynthesis would not be living for long. If the sky were blackened by a nuclear holocaust, a cataclysmic volcanic eruption, or massive meteor impact, the light intensity reaching Earth's surface would decline to about a tenth of its normal level. photosynthetic organisms would die as they depleted their energy reserves faster than they could manufacture more food. Animals that normally ate these autotrophs would go hungry, as would the animals that ate them. A year or even two might pass before enough life-giving light could penetrate the hazy atmosphere, but by then, it would be too late. The lethal chain reaction would already be well into motion, destroying food webs at their bases. No wonder biologists consider photosynthesis to be the most important metabolic process on Earth. Now we move on to photosynthetic pigments that capture sunlight. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. So the sunlight reaching Earth consists of ultraviolet radiation, the visible light, and infrared radiation, all of which are just a small part of a continuous spectrum of electromagnetic radiation. Now, short wavelengths of light carry more energy than do long wavelengths. The sun releases energy in all directions in the form of waves of electromagnetic radiation. After an 8-minute journey, about 2 billionths of the sun's total energy output reaches Earth's upper atmosphere. Of this, only about 1% is used for photosynthesis, yet this tiny fraction of the sun's power ultimately produces enough sugar to fill 600 billion Olympic-sized swimming pools each year. Light may seem insubstantial, but it has a powerful force on Earth. Now, visible light is a small sliver of a much larger electromagnetic spectrum, the range of possible frequencies of radiation. Now, all electromagnetic radiation, including light, consists of photons. Now, photons are discrete packets of kinetic energy, and a photon's wavelength is the distance it moves during a complete vibration. Now, as you can see in the image, the shorter a photon's wavelength, the more energy it contains. The sunlight that reaches Earth's surface consists of three main components. As you can see in the picture, these are ultraviolet radiation, visible light, and infrared radiation. Now, of the three, ultraviolet radiation has the shortest wavelength. Its higher energy photons damage DNA, causing sunburn and even skin cancer. In the middle range is visible light, which provides the energy that powers photosynthesis. Now, we perceive visible light of different wavelengths as distinct colors. Next, we have infrared radiation. With this longer wavelengths, it contains too little energy per photon to be useful to organisms, and most of its energy is converted immediately to heat. Plant cells contain several pigment molecules that capture light energy, and the most abundant is chlorophyll a green photosynthetic pigment in plants, algae, and cyanobacteria. Now, photosynthetic organisms usually also have several types of accessory pigments, which are energy-capturing pigment molecules other than chlorophyll A. Examples for that would be chlorophyll B and carotenoids, which are also accessory pigment in plants. Now, the photosynthetic pigments have distinct colors because they absorb only some wavelengths of visible light while transmitting or reflecting others. As you can see in the graph, chlorophyll A and B absorbs red and blue wavelengths. They appear green because they reflect the green light. So, on the other hand, we have carotenoids, which reflect longer wavelengths of light, so they appear red, orange, or yellow, such as carrots, tomatoes, lobster shells, and the flesh of salmon all owe their distinctive colors to carotenoid pigments, which the animals must obtain from their diets. Now, only absorbed light is useful in photosynthesis. Accessory pigments absorb wavelengths that chlorophyll A cannot, so they extend the range of light wavelengths that cell can harness. This is a little like the members of the same team on a quiz show, each contributing answers from a different area of expertise.